Good morning all, my name is Ankur and we are from Logistics Sector Skill Council. We are one of the implementing agency of policies and procedures and anything to do with betterment of Indian youth. We have lots and lots of policies and we are here from logistics sector to help establishments and industries. How can we connect and make the Indian youth and their life better? This is basically for all the Indian youth who have school dropout, college dropout, or for some reasons they have discontinued their education, to bring them back to the mainstream of employability by giving them on-job training, which is OJT, through establishments and industry. The basic requirement which we have here is the connect, which can be done through industries, through the representative, through the third-party aggregators, TPA. Now, one thing we cannot deny the fact that logistics is the backbone of global commerce. In COVID, the most important thing which we survived is through logistics. Everything was shut down, but the most important of keeping us alive was logistics. We have to make sure that we have skilled workforce. The entire idea of apprenticeship program is to create skilled workforce. Now, I understand that the service industry were not actually very much looking forward to have skilled manpower, but now everybody is looking for skilled workforce, skilled manpower. That is basically because we want to have the service sector also, the professionals which is required, which is to handle the job the way it is, the procedure is. And having said that, I thank you for all the esteemed organizations, but it is important that you have to come forward to meet us to understand what exactly is this particular scheme, policies, whatever we have. It is for the betterment of employer first. It is absolutely, there are so many operational, financial supports and benefits which we will discuss in the PPT. It is for the employers. There are so much of benefits the employer can gain out of this apprenticeship program or engaging into apprenticeship program, and also the benefits which they can provide to the apprentices also. This is something, if we do not come out and have this knowledge, it is absolutely impossible for implementing the process and apprenticeship program.
To promote the apprenticeship program. Now let us all be very honest about one thing. So she started with she would like a bigger crowd over here. Let's start with why there isn't a bigger crowd over here.
Yeah.
I'm from the industry. I will talk about myself, but let's first talk about why there isn't a bigger crowd here. There isn't a bigger crowd over here because the moment some representative of the government asks you to come and attend some talk, the first thing that goes in our head is some new scheme, some new policy that the government has come up with. Now they want to enforce it upon us.
Yes.
Am I right or wrong?
Yes, indeed.
That is the general idea. Now, the truth is that the reason why I am personally here is because I was involved with apprenticeship even before NSDC actually started promoting apprenticeship. Now, I'm going to come down to one very small understanding that I personally believe in. To develop the youth, to develop the country, that is the role of the government. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. So yes, the government is doing its bit to develop, the youth, the infrastructure, employability and all that. Now, all of us, we are from the industry. So whenever the government comes up with any scheme that it might be, we only have primarily two questions in our minds. So, is it okay if I make it an interactive session?
Absolutely. It is an interactive
Fantastic.
session. It is an interactive session. It is
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And since, this is a much, smaller audience, it becomes much easier for us to have this interactive session. So let me ask you this, whenever the government comes up with any scheme or whenever anybody comes up with any proposal or any idea, what are the first questions that come to our mind? Anyone?
I think I would like to answer, what's in it for me?
That is the first question that comes. How does it benefit me? Now, let us be very honest. When I say me, I literally mean me first as the individual. First, I have to be benefited. After that, my organization has to be benefited. Am I right or wrong? Right? So, two things. Number one, now how will I be benefited? Let us start with that. I can only be benefited if the project that is being proposed is easy to implement. Am I right? All right, there will be many organizations, many institutions, charitable organizations, NGOs that are going to come and make a lot of proposals. But by the end of it, what do we realize? Either the proposal is great, but the effort that it is going to take to implement that proposal is going to be phenomenally difficult. Am I right? And let us be very honest, generally whenever it is any initiative that is taken up by the government, the first thing that comes to our mind is, oh, there is going to be a lot of bureaucratic red tape, there is going to be a lot of challenges. Am I right? Isn't that the first thing that comes to all our minds? Am I right? So that is why the moment there is any kind of a government initiative, our first objective is to see how it cannot be done or why it should not be done. Am I right? And with the smile on everyone's faces, I know that everyone agrees to a certain part. Now, the reason why I'm sure Ankur has brought me here is because based on our conversations that we've had in the past, Prolific being a group company of DTD. So let me now just talk about a little bit about myself so that you know where I'm coming from and that I'm not somebody who's just come here to promote LSC and to support Ankur and not just because I speak well and come and tell you how great it is. I would like to tell you about who I am, where I work, and how we have truly been benefited. So my name is Ananda Mukhopadhyay. I work with this company called Prolific HR Consultants India Limited, and I'm absolutely sure that no one has heard of this company. Has anyone heard of this company? No one, right? So I'm very aware of that. But then let me tell you how we are important to the logistics industry. Has everyone heard about DTDC Express? Excellent. So we are an associate company or a group company of DTDC Express. The chairman of DTDC has a significant, or the family of the chairman of DTDC has a significant amount of shareholding in Prolific HR Consultants. And if you take a look at the constitution of Prolific HR Consultants Board of Directors, it comprises of Mrs. Tapushi Chakraborty and Arpita Chakraborty, who are also in the Board of Directors of DTDC Express. All right. So what do we, Prolific HR, essentially do? So we focus on providing manpower to the logistics industry. We have about 4,500 employees who are deployed on the roles of DTDC pan-India. And I'm sure all of you are aware that there are about, DTDC has about 16,000 outlets, which I'm proud to say makes us pretty much the second or the third largest express logistics and e-commerce logistics company in India. Would you all agree to that?
Yes.
Right? So, about 3 or 4 years ago, now I'm from HR, and how many of you are from the HR vertical of your organization? Oh, excellent. So, all of us have the same pain point. Am I right? So, the biggest pain point that we HR have, our company always tells us, you are a cost to the company. Am I right? How many of you agree, HR, that we are considered as a cost to the company? Excellent. So whenever, the most important thing is, whenever the time comes for our appraisal at the end of the year, and we go and ask for appraisal, the first question that comes to us, you are anyway a cost. How much more cost can we bear? Let the company generate revenue. So all the credit goes to the revenue generation team, who are sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
But does it take away the fact that if the HR did not support the organization through acquisition of manpower, through maintenance of manpower, through employee engagement, would the sales team be able to succeed? No, but nobody will listen to that. It's fine. I have also given up on that. So then came the next idea. If we are a cost, if we are a cost center, then how do we go about reducing cost? Now that is where I realized. So about 5 years ago, when the same thing was, informed to me that, so I am the executive director of Prolific HR, and as I mentioned, that it being a group company of DTDC with, significant shareholding of the promoters, the whole idea was that it was the responsibility of Prolific HR to reduce DTDC's manpower cost, specifically in the blue collar segment, right? Now, the most interesting thing that I began to observe. Now, let us talk about, we are on HR, so, or majority of us are in HR or in procurement. So, let us talk about a couple of challenges that we face. And how many of us from related to the logistics industry? Okay, all right. Now, regardless of whether we are related to the logistics industry or any other industry, one of the greatest challenges that we faced is talent acquisition. Am I right? At every level. Now, the greatest challenge that we face during talent acquisition is the compensation that we have to pay. Now, ideally, there are going to be freshers that we are going to hire. Freshers are never happy with the compensation you give them. Am I right? Organization is not ready to pay more because the idea is they are freshers. Anyways, they know nothing. They are going to join the organization. They are going to work for probably 2 or 3 months. Then they may or may not like the job. Then they are going to leave the organization, and it has totally been a waste in terms of whatever amount has been spent. Primarily because it is not just the amount that the individuals get in hand, but it also adds up when the Provident Fund, ESIC, professional tax, these components are added as well. So by the time, within 2 or 3 months, when an individual leaves, there is a tremendous outflow of money without any actual traction, because all of us know that it takes at least 6 months for somebody to first understand the role. Let's say at an entry level, I would probably say a month. Am I right? A month the person learns everything. By the next month or the third month, the person quits, goes to another organization. Now, let us not talk about what happens to these individuals. As of right now, like I said, that is the concern of the nation. That is the concern of the government. Let's talk about how we can look at how we can make it benefit us. So one of the things that we realized that about 5 years ago, I was given the responsibility to, like most HR over here, to reduce the cost. The idea was you have to reduce the cost of manpower. Now, one of the things that I began to observe is that if we take a look at the freshers, or not even freshers, I would say entry level. So for me, entry level are all those people who have an employment span from a fresher to 3 years of employment. The most interesting thing I began to realize, even though the government is really particular about taking care of the citizens in terms of the Provident Fund, in terms of the ESIC, but I began to realize that these youngsters, they really don't bother about the future. They really do not care about their Provident Fund. And with God's grace, they are healthy. So the whole objective of providing ESIC, it really doesn't matter to them, but it would matter more for old parents. Now, many of these youth who are within this 1 to 3 year of bracket, now their parents are already working. So their parents already either avail ESIC or are beyond the ESIC bracket, as a result of which their organizations cover them in some form of insurance. So health and insurance is taken care of. Am I right? Do we all agree? So one of the things I began to realize that this youth that we are targeting to hire, their main focus is how much money I get in hand. Are we all clear? How many HRs agree that this is one of the challenges? Agree? Disagree? So there you go. So if you agree, please raise your hand. It motivates me to believe that yes, I'm going on the right track. Or then I will take some learning from you. Now, essentially, what I began to realize that today, if we are even looking at someone like an operations assistant in a place like Bangalore, and I will talk about Bangalore because all of us are from Bangalore, right? If I'm taking a look at an operations assistant from Bangalore, the amount of CTC that we'll end up paying that person a month is close to about 80,000 rupees. Agree? Assistant operations, unskilled. Right? We have unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled and highly skilled. Am I right? I'm talking about an unskilled person. His CTC is about 18,000 rupees. After all the deductions, what that person gets in hand is close to about 14,000 change. Am I right? Now, if we talk to the individual and tell them that, see, your CTC is 18,000 rupees a month. At the end of the month, when they finally get their salary, they say, but I only got 14,000. And then begins this entire episode where the HR has to explain to the individual as to how, for their benefit, the government has decided on Provident Fund, ESIC, and the individual finally says, but I don't need all that. I was never informed. So that is where the apprenticeship program actually came into my focus because it was amazing. You hire a fresher. Now the first thing that you can do is avoid PF and ESIC. Now the moment you are avoiding PF and ESIC essentially is 24% of the CTC. So what we began to do is, we came up with an idea that, alright, if the CTC is 18,000 rupees and the in-hand is approximately 14,000 rupees, what we began to do is we began to hire apprentices and we began to give them a stipend of 15,000. So the moment we give a stipend of 15,000, we are already above and beyond in terms of parity with our competitors. So the individual joins another organization, the individual gets 14,000 in hand, he doesn't realize that he's missing out on Provident Fund and ESIC. What he sees is, wow, we have joined DTDC and we are getting 15,000 in hand, which is more than what the competitors are offering. So that was our first greatest strength, that we were above the point of minimum wages and we were also giving more salary or stipend. I mean, we will call it stipend, yes.
I think in case of apprenticeship,
yes,
I think there is no minimum wage just described or defined.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Now, I'm coming to that. The best part is that if you would like, you can pay them 9,000. Now, I will come to that.
The minimum apprenticeship act, what says that is about 8,000 or 9,000?
It is 7,000 rupees for a class 10 pass,
That is unskilled.
8,000 rupees. So it does not depend on skilled or unskilled. So,
When you say technically qualified, I say qualified people for like ITA and all these things, I think we are paying about 8,000 rupees.
Yes.
If I am right.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So there are basically three categories over here. The first is those who are class 10 pass. Class 10 pass, people get 7,000 stipend. People who are class 12 pass, the minimum stipend you have to offer is 8,000. And anybody who is a graduate, the minimum stipend you have to offer is 9,000. I know the entire apprenticeship like the back of my hand.
No,
I'm
not questioning.
No, not at all. I'm happy. Let me tell you this. I'm happy that I'm able to answer your question just to validate how much I am prepared. So I had a professor back in college. He used to always tell me, when you go to write an exam, you shouldn't have the time to think. You must only have the time to write. You must know your subject so well. So I have been so deeply involved with apprenticeship that any aspect of apprenticeship that you ask me from an employer's perspective, I can absolutely provide you a perspective on how it works out. Then, of course, there is always a fine line, something that we want to do, and something when we look at the apprenticeship guidelines and we are like, can we actually do this? So when I come to that predicament, Ankur is always there. I always give her a call and I ask her that, this is something we would like to do. Now, coming back to the idea that, as he brought out up front, how do we utilize the stipend amount? Now, what I was talking about is a graduate who has already passed his exams, and following that, he is now looking for a job. And if he gets 14,000 in hand with a CTC of 18,000, he is not happy. So what we are doing is we're addressing that graduate, stating that, you are getting 15,000 in hand, which is more than what your peer is going to get somewhere else. All right. So over there, how much am I saving per apprentice?
About 5,000.
About 3,000. 18,000 minus 15,000, about 3,000. Now it gets interesting. These are graduates. These are entitled. These are privileged individuals. However, when we are looking at basic entry level work, we don't need graduates. Am I right? Somebody who's past class 12, who can read and write, who basically can, type, has basic typing skill, knows Excel, has basic understanding. The graduation or qualification doesn't matter. Am I right? Under those circumstances, that is where comes the beauty, where if you were to engage that individual as an unskilled professional, you would still end up paying 18,000 CTC. However, based on the fact that a fresher who has no experience and is not even a graduate, that is where you can negotiate the stipend that you can give them. For example, there is this graduate apprenticeship program that is conducted by Logistics Skill Council, and we are now engaging students who have finished 2 years of graduation, and the third year is mandatorily an apprenticeship of 1 year. If they do not do that apprenticeship 1 year, they do not get their graduate certificate. So when it comes to these students, we negotiate with the college, and we offer them a stipend of 12,000 rupees. Equally intelligent, more dedicated, am I right? Because they don't have the liberty or luxury of taking the apprenticeship and then leaving it. Because if they leave the apprenticeship, then they will not get their degree. And all of us know over here how important that bachelor's degree is for every individual, and their parents more importantly. Even if the child doesn't want to do the graduation, the parent insists. So there you can take anything from 9,000 to 12,000. So DTDC, we decided that, we are going to take 12,000 because many times again, students in this generation, I don't know this is X, Y, Z, which generation this is, but over there they are more interested, even if it is internship, they still would like to feel that they're getting something meaningful. So we decided that all right, we are going to give you about 12,000 rupees stipend, and you are going to be there for 1 year. And just now imagine the amount of saving that your company will make. So if 18,000 is the CTC, you are paying 12,000, you are making a profit of 5,000. Now when I say profit, we are reducing cost. So let's do an average. Let us say if somebody has 1,000 employees, you can engage about 150 apprentices. Let us just take 100. So 100 into 3,000, that makes it how much? 3 lakhs of savings, right? In a year, that's a month. In a year, it's 36 lakhs. So the next time, after you've engaged apprentices, when you go for your appraisal review, that is the first thing you can say, that well, I could not add to the revenue, but I have definitely added to the reduction of cost. And then we can all together come across and sit down and understand how much we have all our organizations reduce in terms of their cost. And we can go ahead, and that of course is for the end of the next year. But now to come to the second part, I have given all of you a very rosy picture, how much you all are going to save, and I'm sure you all are convinced savings is there. Are you all convinced that there is a saving? Can we have hands? How many of you believe there are savings?
Definitely, yes.
Excellent. I am not even going to talk about the direct beneficiary transfer of 1,500 rupees. I will keep that for later. I'm only talking about the basics. I'm just talking about something that tomorrow you can go to your managing director or to your decision makers and tell them, this is a plan. This has no cost. And the best thing is, any new initiative involves cost. This initiative has no cost involved. Am I right? Do you see any cost involved? No, you are recruiting anyway. The next question that comes, ease of implementation. I can assure you that over the past 5 years, I was shocked myself when Ankur first came to meet me. So Ankur calls me and she's like, I'm from the Logistics Skill Council, we would like to come and meet you. Now, like I said, the government, somebody from the government wants to come and meet me. I am already nervous. I'm like, what have I done this time? Even though I was confident I had done nothing. So Ankur actually comes in and she was like, I'm actually surprised because I see you have about 400 enrolled, about 460 apprentices over the past 4 years. And she started giving me the amount of money I had saved for my organization. And if you ask me very honestly, I never started out with the apprenticeship program. Of course, reducing cost was one reason, but I had a bigger reason. The reason why I wanted to engage apprentices, because I began to realize that the kind of students or kind of freshers that we would hire in our organization would be graduates, would be postgraduates, dropped out from graduation, and then we started reaching out to them, helping them understand that maybe conventional education isn't meant for you, because conventional education never was meant to be. By qualification, I'm a pharmacist and I work in HR. And I'm sure if I were to go around, that will be the story of everyone. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So I began to realize something very simple. When the individual that I'm hiring will not be doing anything in graduation or whatever he has learned in graduation, why not give that person a learning opportunity? Why not ensure that if that person after class 12 doesn't want to do graduation, give that person an opportunity to get skilled. Give that person an opportunity to excel where he might excel rather than making that individual sit in a classroom. And that is where we started targeting students who were class 12 pass, who were engineering dropout, helping them understand that, you know what, today you don't want to do graduation, but if you join the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, you have NSQF level 4, which is equivalent to a class 12 pass. You have NSQF level 5, which is equivalent to a diploma. You have NSQF level 6, which is equivalent to advanced diploma, and it goes up to NSQF level 10. Which is a PhD. So it was more about motivating these individuals who do not want to confer to an academic structure, but are compelled to do so by virtue of their social pressures. So this started helping me in also getting more, qualified representatives or qualified manpower for ourselves. And it also started reducing one very important fact, which was attrition, right? At the entry level, one of our greatest concerns is attrition. That was the first thing I discussed right in the beginning. Now, once an individual begins to realize, okay, even though I've joined as, let us say, a hub branch operations executive or an e-commerce team lead, and I'm taking these, I'm mentioning these because these are what DTDC essentially, hires, takes them as apprentices. We take them as warehouse supervisors, e-commerce team leads, hub branch operations executive. Now, can you imagine the kind of motivation it gives an individual who has enrolled, let us say, in graduation, has passed, the first year, the second year, now has back papers. He is not really motivated to go back and do graduation. And you tell that person, you know what, it's okay. We understand conventional education isn't meant for everyone, but we have an opportunity for you where if you join our organization, because you have already enrolled in graduation, we can provide you with an apprenticeship as an e-commerce team lead or a warehouse supervisor. And at the end of 1 year, you will get a certificate from NSDC which states that you are an e-commerce team lead. And that particular certificate is valid in about 13 countries because the government of India has MOUs with all these countries. Am I right?
Yes,
Ankur?
yes.
So essentially the moment the government of India has MOUs, these certificates are valid in those countries. And what we are doing is that we are securing 1 year of manpower. Third, to come down to the ease and comfort, I guarantee you one thing. We work with the Logistics Skill Council. We work with the MEPSC, that is Management and Entrepreneurship Skill Council. And I can assure you, it is seamless. I will also tell you how the Logistics Skill Council, or I would say the NSDC, the National Skill Development Corporation, has been working to make it seamless. Now, there is this direct beneficiary transfer, all right? So for us as an organization, there were two parts. A, of course, I'm reducing cost for the company by taking away the Provident Fund and ESIC. And then the second aspect was there is something known as a direct beneficiary transfer or the support provided by the government. Is everyone aware of the support provided by the government? How much? Yes. What is do you know the amount?
Yeah, 1,500.
Excellent. Slight correction. It is 25% of the stipend
What?
or 1,500, whichever is lower. I wanted to make that very specific. So earlier on, the scheme was that we would have to pay the entire stipend to the apprentice, and after that, we have to claim the stipend. And yes, I will be honest, when it came to the claim, it went back into that same thing. You submit a claim,
And then it's rejected.
it would take 3 months, 4 months, follow up, and then I would have my team who would follow up. Sir, we are not getting the claim. And I know this is the government. I can't push them because it will happen when it is supposed to happen. Am I right? So I would motivate my team saying, don't worry, we are already saving on that. Let us not be greedy. Let us focus on the savings that we are making by not having to pay PF and ESSC. And this is the government. Money will come. And yes, money has always come, but not when we have wanted it to come. That's a different issue. But why am I saying this? This is not to discredit the government, and Ankur would be thinking, what is he doing?
No.
What I wanted to add is that the government, NSDC, has been looking at these challenges, because if they are getting 50 calls, from employees saying, sir, we have not been refunded, we have not got the benefit, it becomes disturbing for them. So what NSDC did was they came up with a plan. They said, okay, you don't have to get the claim from us. What they came up with was the idea of a direct beneficiary transfer. Now, what is the whole idea of direct beneficiary transfer? If I am supposed to pay 12,000 stipend or 15,000 stipend to the apprentice, I only pay the apprentice 13,500. Now, NSDC will directly remit 1,500. So we were very happy. Yes, additional 1,500 we are going to, be making in terms of revenue like that. But then came the next problem. We have apprentices. We have told them you are going to get 15,000 stipend. Apprentice comes running to the HR stating, sir, I only got 13,500. Has anybody faced this? Excellent. There, we have one gentleman.
Yeah, we all have it. We received that.
So now the moment that happened, the HR has to go into another role of, explaining to the apprentice, you will get it directly from the government. And then we began to realize, why is this happening? So we have always been in that zone of trying to understand why, if something isn't happening, we are supposed to be technologically so advanced. If something isn't happening, there must be some reason behind it. And then we began to realize the reason was that the Aadhaar wasn't linked to the bank account. CD. Am I right?
Yes.
So what we began to realize was that if the Aadhaar is seeded to the bank account in a timely manner, within a month's time, the apprentice gets his 1,500. But if the seeding isn't done, then it is a nightmare. So that is how we started taking proactive steps to ensure that when we were onboarding apprentices, we ensured that their Aadhaar is seeded. And for the past 1 year, I would like to say that we have had no issues. So to summarize, why am I such a great evangelist of the apprenticeship promotion scheme? Number one is because, I have always been considered cost center. HR has always been considered cost center, and today we reduce cost, which revenue making or the sales team or the marketing team cannot do. That is number one. Number two, we are getting better manpower. We are getting manpower that does not undergo attrition. So once I have an apprentice, I can at least have that person for 1 year. Third, most important thing is that at the end of 1 year, if I find that the apprentice isn't engaged, I don't need to retain him in my organization. And that is very important, right? One of the greatest challenges we face is removal of an employee, right? Because there is Shops and Establishment Act, there is the labor law, all these challenges. Now, somebody is not working, his managers are not happy, but you have to retain him because he is smart enough to know that he can't be terminated. But the best part about this apprenticeship program is, while a person is working as an apprentice or getting trained as an apprentice under you, we as an organization assess him. And if we find that the person is not up to the mark, then at the end of the apprenticeship, we help that individual write an exam, get that certificate and tell him, you know what, your career is not in India, it's abroad. So there are these multiple stages, and of course, not to mention that, like I said, the most important thing, the comfort and the ease of doing it. So, we have Ankur and we have the other representatives of the Skill Council who are extremely helpful. They are always responsive. So if anybody has that doubt of, engaging, with the Skill Council, any Skill Council, and then getting stuck, I can assure you that hasn't happened. And even if it does happen, Ankur is always available, and you can always reach out to her. And I'm sure she's gonna, help you out. And also going with that, one of my objectives of coming here to be a part of this conversation is, very honestly, my greatest challenge at DTDC's manpower is we only have 3 or 4 courier companies in India. You have FedEx, DHL, UPS, Blue Dart. To get quality manpower, to get people who are serious, to get students who understand the value of being at a place for 8 hours, working a day for 8 hours, for 5 days a week or 6 days a week or for 1 year, is very difficult to get those people. And my objective is, if we can promote this apprenticeship promotion scheme, we are going to have a more dedicated workforce. And at the end of the day, we'll probably find that, if all of us decide to have apprentices, tomorrow these apprentices are going to be trained manpower and they will contribute to each of our respective industries. So yes, it is a little selfish as well. That for me, I am here talking to all of you, promoting the apprenticeship so that if you can engage apprentices, then we, DTDC tomorrow, are going to be able to have access to better manpower, and it goes for everyone. So, for anyone, if you would like, of course, I'm sure Ankur is going to give you a lot of details, but let's also keep in mind she will give it to you from the perspective of the representative of the government. Now, if any one of you have any questions or any queries that you would like, I'm going to share my visiting card with you. Please feel free to engage with me. Please feel free to call me. Please feel free to set a meeting with me. If you would like me to come and talk, about the advantages or benefits to the decision maker in your organization, I'm even willing to do that. And I think the very fact that I've been invited by Ankur, that will give me a little bit of credibility with the decision makers in your organization. And of course, we can also explore, since we are an HR organization, we are always looking for manpower, and we are always looking at how we can fulfill the manpower. And I promise you, there will be no consultancy charges. I'm not going to charge anything, because I'm letting you know that in advance, all right? And I'm very, very fair about it. So for any kind of a recommendation, for any kind of a support to help you build capability of your apprenticeship program, I'm more than willing to do it without any charge, just to provide you support and to make sure that we can help each other out. All right? Thank you.
But you have a file in front of you, a folder which is kept? Okay, so the tag has, as you mentioned, very many times that we are approachable. Yes, we are. We are giving you the names and numbers of the people who you can contact. Excuse me for the name Upendra. He just quit the organization to pursue into farming.
Wow.
I could not say no when he said, ma'am, I want to, and he's just 23. He said, ma'am, I want to, get attached to my family business and I'm getting into farming. I was like, yeah. So Upendra, you can strike out, but Murli and Kavi is there. You will also have a visiting card of mine, which is, you can always reach out to me. Now, these are a 3-fold leaflet, which is here, which is give you the entire detail of apprenticeship program. This particular additional leaflet, which is an A4 sheet, is actually the other additional job roles which we have included, which makes it 51, which is sector-wise, which is warehousing, land transportation, and so on. There is another colorful flyer here, which is about the Center of Logistics Training for Excellence, which we have 4 centers already. This is about Chennai, which we do. It is skilling, upskilling. You can always refer to that. There's another leaflet which we give you about the apprenticeship program, the schemes, and the benefits and stuff. And he was actually very extensive in explaining, and that makes sense because if it comes from him, industry and people like him, it makes all the more easy for all of us to understand. As you mentioned, HR is the most vital part of apprenticeship program because engaging in the apprenticeship program is the HR who does the entire hard work. Again, as you mentioned, the process, because third party TPAs are involved, because HR feels it's a little bit extensive and exhaustive the process, which is actually not. The NSDC worked really hard to make the portal very easy. We will discuss few of the points where we can make this apprenticeship program and how the apprenticeship program is implemented, what can be done or should be done to make it easy. Council in India. We are one of the sectors in council logistics. This is basically to promote logistics and everything to do with logistics industry to create skilled workforce, skilled manpower. So we create awareness about NAPs, and this is basically about awareness. The entire sensitization program that we've been doing, this is our 7th or 8th, after I joined, and there are a lot of webinars we do. This is basically to create awareness first, for the reach, for the people to know. If you know only, you will be able to understand and promote, regulate, or have these kind of implement. The most important thing is awareness, which is absolutely in many cases lacking. What is apprenticeship program? What is NAPS? How can an employer get benefit? He's explained you in very simplest and in fact detailed way how you can benefit an organization. So we are basically based on the skill candidates monitor and implementation of training program. This is our job. Now I will tell you the beauty of the entire thing is people think that we are human resource agency. So the moment I talk about apprenticeship implementation program or training, they immediately when will you give? I am ready to implement. How can you give me candidates? No, we are not here for arranging the candidates. We are here to tell them mandate. The Apprenticeship Act of 1961. And again, I do not say it is a mandate, it is a rule, you have to follow, because I believe in customer service. I believe in reaching out, explaining them. If you do not understand, if I say it's a mandate, that makes it little more. It's a government organization, they're talking about mandate. That is why, okay, madam, give me the details and all, I'll get back to you. No, I would not like to say it is a mandate, but let us discuss this, how it is beneficial. How can you get benefited out of it? So this is absolutely an awareness, program. So we create optional days, as you mentioned. We create everything to do with our job related to logistics industry. Of any employer who have 30 and above. But it is not a mandate that you have to engage. He's also clearly mentioned that as well. You can train them, but you are not under a mandate to engage them. However, when we give 1 year of training, we would like to retain them. We train them so much, we give them all the kind of technicality, and then why should we leave? Again, you're not under any mandate. There is an assessment program. If the candidates have done well, you can go ahead and engage them. The Apprenticeship Act 1961, well-developed apprenticeship system supported by legislative and administrative arrangements. It is definitely by Government of India, through Government of India, but then it is implemented through us, so it definitely will make it easy for you to reach out and understand. Objective is to regulate the program of training of apprentices in the industry as per prescribed syllabi, period of training. Now, period of training is also absolutely important when we have say a school dropout and college dropout. To bring them to mainstream of training and employability, we cannot give them 2 years, 3 years, then nobody will be able to. So it is 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months easy so that we can engage them, we can finish the job roles and whatever the qualification pack, the assessment and the training. To utilize the facilities available in the industry for imparting practical training, which is apprenticeship training, as I mentioned, it happens in the employer's place. Coverage, it extends whole of India, expand India. It made more obligatory on part of employers for both public and private sector having manpower strength of 30 and above. The 0 to 4, you do not have to engage. 4 to 29, it is your choice if you want to engage. 30 and above, contract or permanent employee, you have to engage. It is a mandate. So employers having manpower strength between 4 and 29 can also engage. It is voluntary, that is their choice. any trade or occupation or any subject field in engineering or non-engineering or technology or any vocational course as may be determined. The duration is 6, 9 and 12 as I mentioned curriculum. The curriculum is also developed by us specific to the job roles which we are actually engaging the candidates in. Now somebody I was discussing yesterday, he said you guys are the center. At the center, at the middle of everything you're discussing, come from periphery. You have to start from there because it is just not the industry or establishment or the employer which should have the knowledge. It should also be the information to the students. How many candidates who are out there or students who are school dropout, college dropout or youth who are school dropout are aware of these kind of apprenticeship programs? There are many such skill development programs by Government of India. How many of them are actually aware? Now, few of the employer who engage into apprenticeship program also, as Andy mentioned when I met him, I gave him the data, census of year-wise how he has actually been engaging. He was surprised at how many assessments have been done. The most important criteria is if we have to create skilled workforce, assessment and certification is absolutely mandatory. If as an employer you are engaging and you're not doing the assessment, not giving the certificate, they are not called a skilled workforce. So this is the most important thing which we feel that the lack is there. Maybe there's the awareness is not there, or the who will go through the OJT process, or we handhold through entire OJT practical, through the entire assessment process which happens at the back end through the app. So please feel free that this is not at all complicated. Maybe people are not aware, but right now we are discussing about assessment and certification. It's very, very easy. And just at the click of a button, we have a time slot. We take care, we handhold, and we do the assessment and certification. It is MSD released official memorandum, so it is a regulatory. Also, you have to do it. Employers must assess the apprentices at their end. Practical OJT is done by the establishment, and theory assessment is done through LSC online. This is the most easiest and simplest way. We have a small little app and a link through that we do it. So assessment and certification, if you guys want anybody webinar, we can take you through the webinar process also, how it is done. The certificate is globally recognized. As on date, LSC have assessed and certified I think this number is definitely increased now, 2000 plus. It is increased. What is happening? This is the official memorandum which is for assessment and certification which is mandated. National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, NAPS. What is NAPS? The scheme has rolled out to promote apprenticeship training and to increase the engagement of apprentices. This is basically how we are creating awareness. This is rolled out to increase the engagement of apprentices. The objective is to incentivize the employer by sharing 25% of prescribed stipend, subject to maximum of 1,500 per month per apprentice through DBT. DBT is another process which ease of all the claims which was not coming through to the employers. So that is the DBT process actually eased of that as well. And direct beneficial transfer, we are still having, whoever is engaging, I think gentlemen from Tirupati is also here. They are actually actively engaging. So the DBT process also had a little bit of hiccup of if it are not Aadhaar seeded, but I think that is also until we understand the process, until we understand how it is implemented, it's a little difficult, but otherwise it's very easy. So establishment must pay the stipend to the apprentice by deducting the amount above mentioned, and candidate must have Aadhaar seeded bank account to avail the DBT, which is very, very simple. Benefits for employer. We are discussing the commercial benefit here. He's already discussed in length, but here it is just in few slides we are mentioning. An apprentice is not a worker. Now, another most important thing which we also fail, many times fail to establish to the employer that apprentices are not an employee at all. Do not give them, engage them as apprentices, and do not think that they're your regular employee. So here it says, apprentice is not a worker, hence there is no contribution towards EPF and ESI. The financial benefit under NAPS is 25% of stipend. Expenditure engaging apprentices over and above 2.5%. That is the minimum mandate, 2.5% you have to, of your total strength, above 30. Can be booked under CSR funding. So there are so much of benefits. Anything you're doing for skill development and training in your organization, anything that can be booked under CSR, which is over 2.5%. 2.5% is the mandate that you have to do. Administrative benefit. What are the administrative benefit? Unique centralized portal for implementation and no paperwork. How many of you have actually registered contract online on the portal? Okay, it is it's absolutely paperless. There is absolutely no paper required. It's all the most eased out process, and they are definitely developing the portal. Last week I was in a meeting with MSD and LSC. They have done fabulous job. The click of a button, the downloads come through portal. So they are actually developing the portal as well. There is no liability for employer to employ the apprentices after training. As I mentioned, there is a mandate for the employer, whoever is into logistics or anything to do with warehousing, that 2.5% you have to. But there is absolutely no liability on the employer that after the training is over, that you have to engage. High morale of candidate as the training provides recognized certificate and good amount of stipend. And it also depends on how an employer is actually giving them the training at the OGT process, that they do not want to leave, they learn. They want to get engaged and continue there. Apprentices cannot be participating. This is the most important thing, which actually apprentices cannot participate in unionized activities. I mean, why are we not engaging into apprenticeship program?
I just made that point over here.
Yes, why are we not engaging? We should engage in apprenticeship program because they can never participate in unionized activities. Now, we are not here to say if somebody is being, made slave, they should not make noise. That is a different aspect altogether. I don't think it's really happening anymore. But this is the best benefit an employer can have. That they can engage into apprenticeship program as many. I think you mentioned when somebody has 1 lakh employee. Why not? You cannot participate in unionized activities. And attrition will be lesser, of course. Also, as the seamless process of onboarding happens, the training goes on. Definitely they would like to stay back and not leave. Also, one most important thing which I would like to mention here is making sure the apprentices are informed of what is this training. Now, 2 minutes of extra time you spend with them, tell them that this is just not because you're a school dropout or college dropout, so we are engaging them. Tell them the job roles they are actually engaged in, what all they will be learning, how many months it is, what is assessment, what is certification, how the certification will benefit. Now, if you spend 5 minutes in explaining them, I'm sure that it will reach out there, because usually what happens is just take on board and then, you start working, this is your lead or this is your manager and this is the place you'll be working. But spend 5 minutes in explaining them why are you here? Why are you under apprenticeship training and how it will benefit? Trust me, that person will stick on. They will definitely complete the course. The operational benefit to the employers. Address a skill gap for the establishment. This is the best thing Andy explained to you. It definitely addresses the skill gap. Employers can have training programs relevant to their requirement. You can engage them and have a training program relevant to the requirement. And we also have the list of training programs which is there you can engage them as per whatever is required for your establishment. Reduces expenditure on recruitment process. Again, we explained beautifully. Loyalty factor. That okay, they have engaged me, they're giving me training. Loyalty factor in apprentices is relatively higher, and which would reduce the attrition. So we discussed financial, operational, and administrative. How to implement apprenticeship program? How can we implement apprenticeship program? Establishment must register on the portal. It is a very, very simple portal there. You can register your establishment. Okay. Establishment declare information regarding number of vacancies available to engage apprentices on the portal. You can straight away mention that on the portal, how many vacancies you have, or what kind of a job role you have there. Even when there are many apprentices who register themselves on the portal, they can pick. So there is actually a both way of interaction happening on the portal. Engage apprentices, train them, pay prescribed stipend. Stipend could be more than the prescribed or not less than the prescribed to them. Now, this is something again which the industry, I have by far never come across one complaint from any of the apprentices in this past 1 year where they have mentioned that the stipend was lesser than the prescribed, or I did not get more. Now, many employers do pay, which is very clearly mentioned, where it is 9,000, they end up paying 12,000. They definitely pay more because, for all practical purposes, somebody has to come from their home or hometown and then, engage into these kind of job roles. So definitely, all of the employers which I have come across, they pay more. They pay definitely extra. The engage and then assess and certify, again, extremely important. If you do not assess them, do not certify them, they do not fall under the skilled workforce. Assess and certify apprentices jointly with LSC at the end of the training. Now, this is another very beautiful thing, as I mentioned, the unionized activities they cannot. Every single assessment and certification have employers, brand, logo, whichever. So it is this free branding. It is absolutely free branding. Why people are not engaging into apprenticeship training and why not doing assessment and certification when your company logo, your company name is there in the certificate. And that is, it goes on the social media, you can post it, even this is absolutely, you can show it to other people when there is a chance and opportunity that we are engaging in the apprenticeship program, this is there. Expectations from employers. Employers shall engage apprentices full mandatory requirement to fulfill the mandatory requirement, which is 2.5% to mention. Utilize the opportunity available and engage them to maximum extent of 15%. Now there is a cap. 2.5 is a mandate and the cap is till 15%. Why is there a cap? Because we do not want people to misuse this opportunity. So 2.5 itself we are not engaging. So still we are requesting the industry to please engage 2.5 to 15%. And the 15% cap is because we should not misuse this opportunity. Conduct assessment and certify the apprentices jointly with LSC. Around 30% of logistics establishment only are engaging apprentices. We expect this number to at least be 60 and 70%, which can happen through all the awareness and sensitization program which we are in, and of course contribution from your end. How we can take it forward, how best we can have this. Implications on non-compliance. The moment non-compliance we say, people will be like, there is a non-implication on non-compliance. What is non-compliance? If you're an organization of 30 and above, you have an employee strength and you are not engaging in apprenticeship program, which is you're not taking and under making sure that the apprenticeship training is there. This comes under non-compliance. Section 30 of the Act, if any employer contravenes the provision of the Act relating to the number of apprentices which is required to engage under the provision, shall be given a notice. So we actually do not do this. We send them email, we meet them, we have this kind of sensitization program to, over and over remind them of the non-compliance they are in. But however, there is notice shall be given. In case employer fails to reply to or authority not satisfied with the reason given by the employer, he and she will be punished with a fine of 500 rupees per month per apprentice for the first 3 months. Now, there are many, we have recently sent something about 300 letters to all the big and small courier and logistics companies. So few of them did reply. And they replied that yes, we will engage, we are aware of. The letter was very simple. Do let us know if you are aware of the apprenticeship program and training, and if so, are you engaging, and how many numbers? I think it was only 3 beautiful questions. If you are aware, how many are you engaging, the number. So few of them said, yeah, we are aware. And that was the answer. And some were like, yes, we want to know. So we did connect through webinar with them. And some beautifully replied, yes, we are engaging and this is the number. Now we are in a very digital world. Click of a button, we will know who has what number of employees. So then when the reply came, he brought me the letter. Murli is executive, he is one of my team members. So he said, ma'am, this person is saying we have engaged in this. So I just closed my eyes and said that organization, anybody who doesn't even know will know. 10,000 pan-India employees they have. It's like basic. Anybody will know. And they are engaging into just 10 and 12. So I got into their website. I have not mentioned the name. I got into their website, and About Us is there, right? There are a lot of people About Us. In About Us, they mentioned the employee strength. So I took the printout, a screenshot of that, attached that letter, and sent them back. So we should not, all things come to non-compliance. If you are not engaging, please engage. But do not send us a reply back saying that I'm engaging into this, because then we will send you the fact sheet. That it is available on your website itself. You are more than 10,000 employees. So please do engage 2.5% of the mandate. So these are the things which definitely comes under non-compliance, where you are engaging or not engaging, but you're replying with the wrong information. And that goes on the record. Think, oh my God, non-compliance. Please start engaging. So the moment you start engaging, at least we will know the data. Okay, they have started engaging. Slowly they will also have an in place. But if you do not engage at all, it falls under non-compliance. Apprenticeship contract. Why is it important? Why are we talking about apprenticeship contract? And we want to insist that people who are already engaging, that contract is the one which binds the employer and the apprentices. Apprenticeship contract to be executed between the employer and the apprentice through apprenticeship portal. Without an apprenticeship contract, the training will not be considered as apprenticeship training at all. Most of, after I joined, I have realized the people have completed their training. They did not get the DVD, because if you do not have a contract, the DVD did not happen. And they could not appear for assessment and certification. So contract is absolutely important for assessment, for DVD, for the candidate. Even though, okay, we will compensate you the amount whichever you have not received through DVD, which you're supposed to. That will not help if the assessment is not there. Because we received a lot of complaint from the candidate saying that I did not get the DVD, but later I was compensated, but the assessment certification will not happen. Contract was not there. Contract is the most vital and integral part of the apprenticeship program. Without an apprenticeship contract, the training will not be considered. The contract execution date is deemed to be the start of the apprenticeship training, whichever date it is. It's an online thing. So the timing is the moment you create the contract, if it is 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, it will automatically give you the end date. 45 days before the end date, the assessment starts.
This contract application is available in the portal.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, everything. The request for premature termination of contract is to be submitted to the JAA. Now, every CEO of Sector Skill Council is also JAA, Joint Apprenticeship Advisor. So, no premature termination request to be sent. It has to be sent to us, but it has to be validated with what is the reason why you want to cancel that contract. The request for premature cash should not be brought up before the time of contract's expiration. Now, many cases it happens. Again, it is not something which a secret. Many establishment and the third-party aggregators, just at the nick of completion of the contract, they send the request for termination of contract. Now, that is absolutely not acceptable. In most cases, we understand everything. We talk to a few candidates, we cannot talk to all, and we reject the contract, because this is basically just to evade the assessment, the going through a process. That is absolutely not acceptable. The establishment is responsible to submit the appropriate document whenever required by JA for verification. Achievements of LSC, as I mentioned, we are the first Sector Skill Council. To create and implement apprenticeship training under optional date. To create an apprenticeship embedded degree program. We are the first ones to create a degree program. Under logistics sector, we have achieved a mark of 72,000 plus apprentices engaged in the sector. We have around 2,500 establishments, which again is, it is increased. The establishment who are engaged. Assisted logistics industries in addressing the skill gap by providing the standards QP, including futuristic job roles. We have created many sustainability and futuristic job roles in our curriculum, to make sure that any requirement which comes in, we are always ready. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Answer that question for you. I think the simplest answer that I can give to that or for that is change. no organization, not just an organization, even if you take a look at our family construct, people are very, very adverse and very, very resilient to change. All right. So just the other day, about a week ago, I attended a certification program at IIM. It was on digital marketing and social media marketing. And they actually beautifully talked about a particular graph. There are innovators, there are early adopters, there are late adopters, and there are laggards. Now, whenever there is any form of an initiative, when it is an initiative by the government, our first approach is that this is going to be trouble. So, from an employer's perspective, I'm sure Ankur can't answer that question. So, I know the kind of resistance I have had to go through, and I'm still going through that resistance because as of right now, we should technically have about 750 apprentices, but I think right now we have about 150 or 200, and we are aggressively trying to ramp that up because one of the main things are. So I'll give you a small example of something that I did. So I was in Kolkata. In Kolkata, DTDC decided to implement a contact center program. And the whole idea in DTDC when it comes to a customer center, it is not just as simple as you answer a call and you hang up. You are integrated into the operations. So there will be times that you will have to actually call the operations people to understand why or why not, has the shipment gone. So it is more or less the role of a team leader. So we came up with the apprenticeship of e-commerce team lead because that is what it essentially was. And we have, as of right now, about 30 or 35 e-commerce team leads. Now, the moment I went to the head of customer care and promoted the idea that, instead of taking apprentices, and instead of taking employees for which they had to have at least, some kind of an exposure, and anything to do with customer care, the CTC will always be higher because, they speak well and other things like that. So the CTC was coming up to about 20,000 rupees. Now, when I went and promoted this idea to the head of customer care, the first response that was there based on predefined notion was, oh, the candidates will not be interested. So I asked her, why do you feel the candidates will not be interested? She said, well, they are getting no benefits, they are not getting PF, they are not getting ESIC. So why would the candidates be interested? Now this is a preconceived notion because I am the one who does recruitment, right? So somebody, like Ankur mentioned that, then, industry comes up to them and says, we are ready to engage, give us apprentices. Logistics Skill Council can't do that. I'm ready to help you with that primarily because we engage in activities where we put out advertisement promotions where there are apprentices who come. We educate them. Now, I will get back to this entire project in Kolkata. So finally what I had to tell the head of customer care was, your objective is to get good manpower, right? She said yes. I said, leave the negotiation up to me. So what happened was that at that point of time, there is also a shift in how the recruiters or the HR who finally engages with onboarding essentially drives the idea of the benefits of the apprenticeship to the prospect. So ideally, again, it is not just a stereotype in the employer's mind, but there is also a stereotype in the minds of the apprentice and most importantly, the parents of the apprentice. So one is, you just tell an apprentice that, we cannot hire you as an employee, we are going to hire you as an apprentice. You will not get PFESIC, you will get 15,000 stipend in hand. If you say that, a person will really consider, oh, I am not going to be an employee, I will not have any benefits. So we by default are creating that fear in the apprentice. As opposed to that, if you tell the apprentice, you know what, we have a fantastic opportunity for you. We could have hired you as an operations assistant, but we want to give you a future. And that is why we are going to enroll you as a hub branch operations executive under the Logistics Skill Council, which is supported by the National Skill Development Corporation. At the end of 1 year, you will have a certificate from NSDC, which is valid in 13 countries. Do you see the scope and the career opportunities we are providing you. So the question is that this entire apprenticeship has a lot to do with how we are promoting it, not only to the decision makers within the organization, but also to the apprentices. Because I can assure you that if 15, 20 or all of you tomorrow decide that, yes, we would like to engage apprentices, I'm positive the next calls that Ankur is going to get is say, ma'am, we are ready to engage apprentices, but apprentices are not ready to join as apprentices. Have I been able to address your concern in some way?
Kind of, yes. So that takes me to the second question.
Yes.
So once a person completes the program
Yes.
and the employer gives them a certification to wash their hands,
Yes.
you're done with us. So what happens next for the employer, for the person? How
Okay.
does he take it forward to the next level?
Fantastic question. I'm really glad you asked that question. So the first thing that I would say, we are all employers who want skilled, good manpower. If an individual is good as an apprentice, why would we want to wash our hands of that apprentice? I'll come to the next point. The next point is, if we have hired 100 apprentices and we realize 20 of them are good and they are serious, believe me, they will follow up with you, and we as the employer as well would absorb them within the organization. Remainder are, let's say, 80%. Out of the 80%, I promise you 70% will be more than happy to run away.
And that 80% we take care. We have industry placement, division department as well.
I'll also tell you, because at the end of the day, I know the next thing would be, man, these 80% are our headache, you take care of them. So I don't want to put Ankur in that spot. So this is because I've been working with this engagement for the past 5 years. I promise you this, anybody, and I have data and I can show you that anybody who has completed 1 year of apprenticeship, if your organization feels that the organization does not want to engage that apprentice, I guarantee you 99% of those apprentices will get a job even without your involvement.
How?
The first thing that happens is, today in the industry, every employer wants 1 year of experience. Now, without fail, the first thing that we do, that we groom the apprentices when we are hiring them, we tell them, see, at the end of 1 year, it may so happen that you may feel that this industry is not meant for you. However, you still have 1 year of work experience. And I assure you, any employer looks for a person with 1 year of experience, not for the skill that person has. They look for 1 year of experience because they want to see, has this person got the capability of coming to work every day for 8 hours, 5 to 6 days a week for a period of 1 year. If we find this discipline in somebody, we are convinced that we will teach him the job. So one of my greatest strengths when I engage apprentices, I always tell them, you don't worry about what will happen after 1 year. Either in this organization or somewhere, you will definitely get a job. The reason you will get a job is because you have 1 year of work experience. And the name of our organization is Prolific HR Consultants India Limited. So the first thing that comes to a person's mind, placement consultancy. I mean, it's just the name, but we are actually a core HR organization. Do you know the number of students who come to us and ask us for a fake work experience certificate of 1 year? And when the students come to me, I tell them, why fake? I will give you an apprenticeship for 9,000 rupees. And you get that 1 year of experience. After that, the world is your playground. Why do you even want to stay in India? Majority of the apprentices that come to me are from Kerala. And it is so easy for me because all I show them is, well, your journey began in Kerala, comes to Bangalore, and from here straight away you take off to the Middle East. So I can guarantee you that concern of yours, I know where you're coming from. At the end of the day, an apprentice has been with you for a year. At the end of 1 year, he comes and stands in front of you, sir. What next? How could you do this to me? I'll take care of it. If you have people like that, please send them to us.
Exactly. Most employers, even the apprentice, they think,
Yeah.
if I'm a person who wants to apply for this, I think, okay, this is not for me. They think the white collar cannot apply for apprenticeship.
So let me give you a clarity on that immediately. That was one of the great challenges that we had as well. So it depends what role you're engaging them for. So when somebody tells me that, apprenticeship is for blue collar, I say, oh, really? Is that so? I have a role of e-commerce team lead apprentice. I have a role of warehouse supervisor apprentice. When was the last time you heard that a team leader is a blue collar employee?
Exactly. So this page actually will give you a very clear idea of all those. And it is a notion we have to get past that.
And to help better that, I'm being very honest. This is where HR truly comes into the picture. When you are first thing that we do. So, like I said, there are multiple things. I'm going to show you. Probably I'll hook up my laptop and I'm going to show you something more that we do. And this is something I'm ready to give out to the industry for free. We have an e-learning platform, which is all courses of apprenticeship, not apprenticeship, I'm sorry, of logistics related learning. Now, the first thing is when you are telling somebody in India you are going to be an apprentice and you will learn, their first question would be, but where is the classroom? Where is the training happening? So to combat that, we came up with an e-learning platform. And just like Volvo's 3-pin seat belt, which they gave out for free because their philosophy was that, Volvo, I don't know if you all are aware, Volvo was the first to come out with a 3-pin seat belt that we use even today. And they gave it out for free. There was no proprietary on it. And their philosophy was the reason why they are doing it is because safety should be for everyone for free. And similarly, we also realize that if we are really looking at engaging the industry and apprentices, we have to give them a learning platform. Yes, many of them may want to learn more than what they are learning. So we have a free e-learning platform, which I'm going to share with everyone. You can give it to your apprentices. So anybody who is desirous to learn, you can always give them that platform. We will always give them, the username and password. And at the end of 1 year, when they come to you and say, sir, 1 year is over, what is going to happen to me now? You can ask them, 1 year is over. What have you done with the e-learning platform? So a lot of it also revolves around not just us taking responsibility and ownership of the individual, but is the individual also taking ownership of themselves? So I will always go back to the fact that I assure you that 1 year of program and that 1 year of work experience that you are giving that individual, believe me, you are doing them more than a favor. And if someone doesn't see it, that person will not see anything you do for that person. Does that answer your question in totality? Okay, thank you.
There are many lakhs of graduates who are sitting at home,
Yes.
who are unaware, and there are requirements by employers who actually come across they have quality issues with the apprentice, which they actually interview, or they send them through the HR panel. This gap we have to fill. And trust me, I am telling you, I know there are crores of graduates who are sitting at home and they are quality people for all of us here. But the gap, how to reach out to them? What are we doing? How are we getting this information? That there is apprenticeship program, you can engage, you can benefit out of it. So answering not everything is for blue collar, you can also engage. This gap is something we are really working hard to fill. How the awareness to be created, how to reach out to those people. So we are actually connecting with school and colleges here. We are with the apprenticeship embedded degree program. We are actually letting them know so when they pass out, not necessarily after OJT, they are actually continuing. Or some people who have been in the regular graduate programs, please reach out to them that you have completed or you have just +2, that you have to engage in the apprenticeship program and take benefit out of it.
Now, I cannot absorb all of them into DTDC, primarily because many of them may not have the skill set. Many of them may have locational restraints. So, all of you, if you would really like support from us, I would request that you just empanel with us. It'll be a very simple contract, no commercials, stating that you will give us all your requirements, entry level requirements. You don't have to think how you are going to define the apprenticeship. You just give us a list of your entry level requirements, stating that, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all our requirements. And we will decide what would be the best apprenticeship that can be projected for the applicants. And then we will reach out to the candidates who come to us and we will forward them to you. Now, you may ask, what's in it for me? What's in it for me is that as an organization, if I engage 250 employees or 750 employees in my company, and if I can engage another 5,000 people in the rest of the industry gets promoted. See, what happened during IT was all of a sudden everybody wanted to go into IT. Everybody wanted to be a computer engineer. This was in the year 2000. Am I right? The reason it happened was because of the kind of promotion that happened. And that is something that I am trying to target, that we have to be able to promote the logistics industry so that good people, talented people want to join the industry. Today, the challenge is that the moment somebody hears the word logistics, the only thing that comes to their mind is delivering on a bike, pickup and delivery, and loading and unloading.
Yes.
And that is a myth. Yes, that happens. That is only 10 to 20%. The entire industry doesn't do pickup and delivery, am I right?
Yes.
So that is a challenge that we are trying to overcome. So like I said, anybody who has challenges in getting apprentices, please reach out to us, because we are doing a lot of programs as an organization amongst institutions, logistics institutions, smaller training institutions as well. I'm going to have a word with Ankur later on in the day to see how we can make it more integrated. Just like we've had the industry come out here, we're also going to try and see how we can get institutions to understand. So we are trying to bridge the gap. For example, if you see management and logistics and transport, supply chain management, transport operations, inventory, movement of goods, movement of people, production planning, and the list goes on. So we have a lot. We have about 20, 25, such small programs, which essentially are on the e-learning platform, and we provide access to all the apprentices, which also gives them the scope of learning. And at the end of it, so Logistics Skill Council will be giving them the certificate. So this just adds at the learning bit that can encourage them or engage them to learn more, and this is for their own self-development. So this is another something that we have done purely and specifically for the industry pro bono. So I would really request all of you to please make a note of it, or to reach out to us to see how we can integrate this into your apprenticeship learning program, so that the individuals are motivated, so that they feel that it is an education. And also anybody who wants help with engaging apprentices, facilitating apprentices, let us have an MOU, because one of the things that does happen, again, notion, when apprentices, consultants, the first thing that comes to their mind is, okay, they are facilitating, jobs, and that there's going to be a cost factor, but we would like to take that away. So, if we have MOUs that we have signed with the organizations, we can always represent the fact that we are just facilitating on behalf of the Logistics Skill Council, to make sure that you get, good apprentices, which is going to add to their career and future.
And the websites.
Yes.
It's prolific.
prolifichr.info/edu. What's your name? Amar. So, Amar had asked an amazing question, and that was the most heartfelt question for me about the fact that when it comes to apprenticeship, the whole objective or the idea is that they are blue collar employees. And I already gave you the answer. Now, to help all of you, all these roles that you see over here, packer, material handler, these will probably be NSQF level 3. All right. Goods packaging machine operator might be level 5, but then again, there are certain requirements. Now, why I'm saying this is that most of these that you see over here, these would ideally be for the given blue collar employee because most of them would be NSQF level 4. But if you are looking at management trainees or people who you would like to absorb in your organization at a management cadre, then there are other roles that we hire under, like warehouse supervisor, e-commerce team lead, which are NSQF level 5. The advantage of that is that, when somebody has already done their graduation or has dropped out of graduation, it becomes a tremendous selling point for them saying, hey, you know what? So when we do our advertisement of apprenticeship, we basically put it out there as join us and do a diploma in logistics. Now, when I say do a diploma in logistics, obviously that is a part to help them understand what they're getting into. Once they come to us, then we explain to them the entire equivalence of NSQF level 5 to that of a diploma under AICT for them to understand that even though they are doing an apprenticeship, but at the end of the day, the certificate they're going to get will be that which is equivalent to a diploma. And the interesting thing is that not only are they going to get a certificate which is equivalent to a diploma, but that certificate is recognized in 13 countries and they get paid. So what we generally, promote amongst apprentices is that, which, institution have you ever been to which will actually pay you for learning and then give you a certificate which is recognized in 13 countries. So that was a little bit that I wanted to say. Otherwise, the next thing would be that, these, again, look like they are for blue collar employees. And I do understand that, yes, blue collar employees is a necessity, but the maximum amount of money that we pay are for the white collar employees who are freshers, who want to join the organization and have a tremendous need for like a compensation. And of course, if you're hiring a sales executive, from the logistics industry or for the logistics industry, his expectation would be 25,000 CTC. So, if you enroll that person as an e-commerce team lead or a warehouse supervisor where he would have to understand the basics before he goes into sales, then that again helps you saving 3,000 to 4,000 rupees in terms of, PF and ESIC, and also motivating the individual to join and not quit at least before 1 year.
One place where
North, south, east, west, that's the indication.
South has a better, I think, reach, but otherwise North has very minimal. UP and Bihar and Madhya Pradesh had very, very minimal.
So let me also be very honest as to why that happens. The reason for less engagement is because if they engage apprentices, they will get caught. What will they get caught with? South generally is more compliant when it comes to statutory compliance. North, UP, they might have 5,000 employees, but only 500 people will be enrolled in PFESIC because they don't want to pay PFESIC. And South, generally people are law-abiding and they are afraid of the law. And I was raised in UP, in Lucknow, so I can assure you that people generally they don't care that much about getting caught. So and the reason is because their logic is, sir, I have 5,000 employees. You are talking about no PFESIC with apprenticeship. I don't give PSI ESIC anyways. So, and I'm telling this because we are into outsourced services, and DTDC being a big company, we have channel partners, and we have to drive that. We are like, no, yes, you don't give what you have to give. So that is the reason. So even before Ankur comes up with the numbers, I'm telling you, I know. But does it mean they don't have apprentices? Oh, yes, they have. But they are not legally qualified in any way. And in an organization with 5,000 employees, they will only have 500 employees and 4,500 apprentices because nobody gets PFESIC.
Exactly.
But this is the truth. I don't have numbers, so yeah, the government can't hold me accountable.
Done. I think this is a best request which I could actually receive, where the employer is chasing about an apprentice's engagement in job role. Now he came up and said that he engaged in e-commerce team lead, and he's saying, how to place him, where to place him. That's a very good request, where he's given the training. Maybe he could not absorb him for whatever the role, but he's still looking for how can I do the placement. So I requested him. We have an industry placement department. So I have left my visiting card. You can reach out to us tomorrow. Dehradun, again, as you mentioned, very, very weak and low in engaging apprentices.
Yes.
There the tourism is quite high. I'm still to explore that end of that side of India, to be very honest. And east, totally, not that part of the east, totally I have not yet explored. I think with Andy we will do that. So we will definitely help you on that. This is where we are requesting establishments to get involved, engaged, where we really, really want to come. But thank you so much for asking that question for me. So this is the list of Andy. This is something which I would like you also to have a look. Cold chain, is a very, very minimal engagement that we have. We request cold chain. We have a very good refrigeration, maintenance. So these kind of job roles, port, maritime, absolutely zero engagement. And we have an apprenticeship embedded degree program, maritime. Please, we request industries to come forward for those kind. Agri logistics, absolutely zero. Now I was told reach out to kisi biscuit company ko, Kurkure and all these people. I said reach out is very easy word to say. Reach out, give me some names, give me some contact. Now, Aruna is not free all the time. Now, if I just barge in and say, I want to meet your HR or your person engaging, first things, Aruna's assistant will ask, do you have an appointment? Did you make an appointment? Now, irrespective, I'm free or busy, this is what the profile, or this is how the process is. I need a breakthrough in those industries with names. It's just not the company name that I need. I need someone in HR. It's okay if the person is not picking up my call first turn, second time. I'll at least send a WhatsApp. I'll try to tell that I'm reaching out for someone. This is purely to create awareness that I have these kind of job roles and I want you to engage. I have very, very low engagement in cold chain, extremely zero engagement in liquid logistics, zero in agri. So when we already have a set degree program where you have a candidate for 12 months, 1 year engagement, why are we not, engaging? Why the industry is not engaging?
So, well, Ankur, I have been talking about how I'll be helping the industry through and through. So over here, probably I'll say what I'm going to do to help Logistics Skill Council and you as well. So we essentially recruitment and creating awareness is in sorts a lot of digital marketing involved and things like that. So if you're okay with it, we have a digital marketing team, and what we can do is we can probably take a look at your LinkedIn profile, your
Social media page.
and no more than that, because see what happens is when you have a social media page, that essentially is talking about the industry, but when you need to reach out to someone who is the head of an organization, it has to be Ankur Raju who is reaching out. So it has to be your personal LinkedIn account, through which, of course, and I have a excellent digital marketing specialist called Lakshmi. She has changed my page in such a way that now there are a lot of engagements happening. So probably, we can sit. And of course, everybody's help is definitely welcome. That is definitely there. But over and above that, probably we can get together, and we would like to also help, the Logistics Skill Council to be able to reach out as much as possible.
Sure. Thank you.
So that is why here it is just like you can reach out. Reach out is not going to help me. I need specifics. I need some name. I need some contact person. I need to go there, sit with them, talk to them. Like how I am explaining, this is an awareness for the industry. That is why I'm requesting that help.
Organization called Lenda in India. From Lenda in India, I'm placed in Department of Education, Samagra Shikshana Karnataka, Government of Karnataka. So basically, my role here is to support the implementation of vocational education program. So we have currently 6 sectors. We are thinking of introducing, currently we don't have logistic. We are thinking of introducing logistic as one of the sector. My question is, after 12th, if we give the placement, this program is running from 9th standard to 12th standard, where we have introduced one subject as a vocational education. So after 12, if the student want to take up a job and if we place them as a packer or a delivery boy, what is the next career progression for them, or what, and also what will be the highest level of career growth they will have?
So we are associated with National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, which is done through our Educational Initiative Division, which is another division. And we have introduced logistics in school. You understand? So maybe Dr. Gayatri and Professor Ganeshan will be the right approach for you. As far as this is basically because when we introduce logistics, plus 2, after that they can straight away get into a job because they get certified, when as they finish the schooling. So this is something they can straight away get into a job. You're right. Career progression comes in depending on the number of years they have spent on that particular job role, learning and experience, which is they have worked on it. It totally depends from organized. It is internal skills also as how the candidate is actually performed, and career progression is upskilling. The next is upskilling, which is we already have the upskilling. If he is a picker packer, what is the next? Whereas associate, whereas executive, where the upskilling happens when the warehouse manager or the operation head decides for him to go through upskilling. We have a lot of upskilling courses. So the career progression goes up like that. That is technically what is their schooling education, what they have actually done the first course, how many years they have spent on, what kind of experience they have gained, and then the upskilling.
So that's an excellent question that you have asked. Now, as I've been mentioning, I'm from I work on behalf of DTDC. And one of the things that we have observed at DTDC, and this is how, when somebody asks me, I'm joining as an apprentice, what is my career? I start out with, your career will completely depend on how much interest you show in what you're doing. Now, let me tell you something very simple that happened. We engaged a couple of apprentices through the graduate apprenticeship program. Mohit from LSC was coordinating with us. And the gentleman sitting next to you, Pratyaksh, he works with Prolific as well. And he is the one who has been taking care of all this apprenticeship. So suddenly one day I get a call from Mohit. Pratyaksh gets a call from Mohit. And Mohit says that, sir, we have got complaints from the institution that you are making the children do loading unloading. So for me, we are very clear at DTDC. We have loaders, unloaders, and then we have operations executives, and loaders and unloaders. The operations executives are not supposed to do loading, unloading. And when we get a complaint like that, that becomes a big concern for us that, we are doing something that shouldn't be done. So I immediately went to the Yehelanka Apex. It's a 80,000 square feet Apex. And obviously the moment I entered there, the operations manager, the night shift manager, the different managers, they came because they heard that somebody has complained to the director that the employees or the apprentices are being made to do loading, unloading. And then when I went and asked them the question, the first thing they said, sir, you are telling us that they have been doing loading, unloading. They have sent you a video. But can you just look outside? So DTDC is amazing. there is a glass like this where there are cables, and all the senior officers can take a look at the entire workshop, 80,000 square feet workshop. And the only thing they said, sir, can you just take a look over there and see what those individuals are doing right now? And believe me, those 4 individuals were standing and they were chatting. And we took a video of that and we sent it back to the institution. Now, why am I saying this? Is because, see, when you are working in the logistics industry, this is what I had to explain to them. There is a difference between loading and unloading and handling shipment. Now, when a truck comes and docks, an educated person who can read and write has to basically collect the shipment, scan it, verify if the shipment that is scanned and the details are correct. Now, that is handling of shipment. Now, if somebody says that is loading, unloading, the industry cannot change the norms. Now, coming to your question of vertical progression. Now, why we brought this up is because these individuals, even though they are graduates, they are only focusing on the fact that they have been made to handle shipments, so they are complaining that it is loading, unloading. What they don't realize is that the entire management of the shipment, picking, packing, sorting, bagging, and then out scanning, this happens in 3 shifts. And any individual will only be there for 2 shifts at best if he comes in at 9 o'clock. And the total number of hours that individual has to spend in doing his specific job role is only 4 hours. 2 hours when the load comes in, 2 hours when the load goes out or comes in again. Now, out of 8 hours that we as employers are paying them, they are only working for 4 hours. What are they doing for the remaining 4 hours? Answer is nothing. Now, when you talk about vertical progression, I will again come back to the question which revolves around the fact, are they interested to grow? Do they understand what it takes to grow? Because I feel all of us employers try and play or try or believe, what is the career that we can offer to an employee or to an apprentice. But the question is, are they interested in a career? Or are they just interested in a designation and title? That is something we have to identify. So when you talk about the career progression in DTDC, the Mr. Stanley Matthew, who was the heading the South Zone, he's no more, but he started his career in professional couriers as a delivery boy. Mr. Kaushik Bhattacharya, who was, the head of Kolkata, now he heads the entire training and everything in DTDC. He started his journey as an on-train courier. Now, what did these individuals do? What is learning? So after their 4 hours of work, when they had additional 4 hours, they would go to the delivery management executive and tell the delivery management executive, all right, teach me what you are doing.
Cross-functional is absolute and aspirate, desire to learn.
So the truth is that I can promise you that anybody who wants to grow, all you've got to do is help them understand that you only work for 4 hours and get paid for 8. 4 hours is for you to work. 4 hours is for your own self-development. And nobody will come running after you. And this was a very classic example where when I was working in Hewlett Packard, so I joined as a agent, and then I became a hardware dispatch supervisor. Then I became a trainer, and there were just like this e-learning platform that was there. Hewlett Packard, I'm sure all of you know, they have a very robust Grow at HP platform. So when I had joined the organization during induction, they had said, hey, you know what? There is a Grow at HP, and you can do many courses, and that will lead to your growth. And believe me, the courses that Hewlett Packard offers to its employee, you would pay like lakhs to do it, but for employees it is free. Now I realized, excellent, this is a great opportunity. So I wasn't very good in college. I didn't study in college and I spent a lot of time, but that's something else. After I joined my work, I said, excellent, we have Grow at HP, and I did all these courses. And in a company like HP where you are eligible for a promotion only after 2.5 years, I got my first promotion within 11 months, my second promotion within 1.5 years of that. And after that, I quit after 1 year and joined Prolific. So I went, after I became a manager, I went to Shankar, who was the HR generalist of HP. And I asked him, I was like, Shankar, you know what why is it that Grow at HP is so effective? Why is it that you don't promote Grow at HP amongst all the employees? And he gave me an answer which shocked me. He asked me the first question. He was like, okay, Andy, tell me this. How did you learn about Grow at HP? I said, well, because during induction, we were told that if you want to grow within the organization, you have Grow at HP, go to Grow at HP, enroll in the courses. I did that. He said, so you were aware. Not only were you aware, you acted upon it. Right? So first was awareness. Awareness everybody has. But the question is, how many of us act upon it? But there was something, a deep secret that he told me, which I still remember. The next question he asked me was, now let me ask you, Andy, if everyone becomes a manager tomorrow, who will take frontline calls? So the moral of the story was that a person who wants to grow will take it as his own initiative and will reach out to you. And to ensure that people who are dedicated and want to grow, it is for that reason that Prolific HR came up with an e-learning platform which we are ready to share with anyone for free who wants to learn. Now, in terms of career progression, so I have given you the basis. But how would, let us say, a picker packer grow? Let's say if he were in DTDC, he starts as a picker packer. If he can read and write English, and if he can essentially read and understand, so the next thing that he goes into is going to be an operations executive. The growth from an operations executive is essentially the next ideal role is going to be a DMC, which is delivery management cell. So he essentially becomes an assistant branch manager at a branch. From a DMC, the next role he gets is that of a branch manager. Now, I can assure you, if somebody is capable within 3 years from being a picker packer, that person can become a branch manager. Further to branch manager. Now, let me also explain to you why. A branch manager's role is not rocket science. Because what does a branch manager have to do? He has to ensure that when the load comes in, the load is scanned. He has to ensure that there will be 3 or 4 operations executive under him who scan it, who ensure that it is taken to the place for sorting, who sort it, who bag it, who pack it, and then who send it out. Now, somebody who has diligently done this job for 2 years leads by example. And he will be the most efficient. So when we are taking a look at a branch manager in a branch environment, in an organization like DTDC, people management is only 10 to 15%. It's actually skill. It is the skill and the process management that we look at. And if somebody has done it diligently, how fast can he sort? How fast can he scan? That is what we look at. So there goes the branch manager. So in 3 years, the person can become a branch manager. After that, the next role is that of an area manager. Then there is a regional manager. Then there is a zonal manager. Now, of course, up to branch manager is 3 years. Beyond that is your desire. So, for example, I just mentioned a little while ago that, about 2 weeks ago, I went for a course in IIM in digital marketing, digital and social media marketing. Why did I do it? I'm 44 years old. I'm already the director of a company, but everybody has to constantly upskill themselves. The biggest challenge is that people forget to grow. You have to upskill, and that is at every level. So there will be a lot of initiatives. For example, if the individual goes on to the Logistics Skill Council, there is a small course which just costs about 499 rupees. Am I right? An online course which brings about awareness in warehousing, awareness in hub branch operations. So the entire idea of growth, a person can automatically see in an organization. And the one great advantage of the logistics industry is that as of right now, educational qualification is not a deterrent for either getting a job or growing. Only thing that matters is your dedication, hard work, and basic intelligence. Have I been able to answer your question from an industry perspective?
I'm from Andaman Nicobar. So I am the first one to start Jet Airways. I'm the first set of crew where we started Jet Airways in Port Blair, which is now Sri Vijayapuram. I don't know, for whatever reason. Okay, I'm not even using that name. So I'm the first Jet Airways crew set of 12. So 10 were taken, 2 were on, so they were always there with uniform. With uniform, all 12 of us will be there. These 2 will be just watching. They get paid. They're just watching. They're not doing anything. They're just watching. From there, I grew up, and then I decided to come to mainland India, and we call it mainland India. So I came to Chennai and I joined UPS. Now UPS, I don't know how many of you are aware. Mr. DC Selvan was my first boss. He's my mentor. So I was a customer service executive. He made me work for 3 months in warehouse. Work. When I say work. So it's like no heavy lifting, but lifting. There is no gender there in logistics. We encourage a lot of women to join. I'm talking about 2001. This is 2024. Mr. DC Selvan made sure that he sent me to warehouse for 3 months. All the picking, packing, labeling. If the package is wrong, open the package and repack it. I have learned the basic being a customer service executive. This is not that I should have asked why I'm just supposed to take calls and send emails. But he wanted me to learn that I'm an island girl, not exposed to the mainland culture, how it works, not exposed to logistics, even though I've worked with passenger commercial airlines. But I should know logistics, and that has proved so vital that I am into logistics field even now after so many years. It was not aspirational then, it is not aspirational now, but it is one of the most growing and most needed sought out industry. Without logistics, we cannot work. So if I was made to do that, I'm sure what Chandy is saying is, we all had to go through how aspirational we are, how desirable we are. Anybody should have said, why should I go to it's so hot, it's so messy. But if somebody thinks that the complaint had come, being pursuing graduate, that I was told to do pick pack, I would say you work under DC Selvan, he'll definitely make you pick pack. Because that is a basic. If you do not pick right, if you do not pack right, I wanted a red shirt for my boyfriend for a Valentine. You picked a blue. Gone. You packed wrong. You wanted to send Aruna flowers, you sent me because you labeled it wrong. Yeah. This is basics of logistics, which was taught to me. I was very much a graduate, very much an airlines, experience. But he made sure, because he knew I did not understand 3 months, and I was first time in mainland India. How can I question my branch manager? Why you're sending me to warehouse? He made sure that he taught me the very basic. While answering customer call, you must be in their shoes. Do not howl and scream and yell on the operations at the warehouse that you did wrong. They're in a messy situation. They are overworked. They have extended working hours. Whatever it is, they have made it wrong. Now it is most error-free. Of course, that time it was manual, a lot of things. So when I am actually handling the customer, I am balancing the act of, yes, my dude is done wrong. He might have done wrong. How am I correcting it? So yes, if that guy was made to do loading, unloading, I would think he must have made to do unloading, but then not the scenario now. Pursuing graduates, we don't do. But if you had worked for my boss, you would have definitely been made to do. So this is something which we would like to tell, if some complaints like that come, let us understand and evaluate and not take it on a face value that, okay, was he made to do loading and unloading? Was he actually done? It's okay if you're done loading and unloading. Maybe you learn something out of it.
Assessment and certification. Only contract registration is not enough. We have to make sure that the candidates are assessed, they are certified, they are skilled worker, and then comes the upskilling. So LSC's initiatives in apprenticeship training, we are you were asking me about
developing the curriculum. So yeah, so we developed option trades for apprenticeship training. This is apprenticeship embedded degree program, diploma, undergraduate degree, engineering degree. Development of 2 new CTS and trades under DST, which is warehouse technician and in-plant logistics assistant. So we are continuously upgrading ourselves. We are creating more curriculum. We are expanding into engineering, and we are actually trying to think how we can, club these two together. So TMS and WMS is something which is within the engineering. We are trying to do warehouse management system and transport management. So we are trying to actually include logistics and other industries. How can we bridge those, or how can we actually work together? So we have apprenticeship embedded degree program. We are the first ones to have logistics introduced in school and colleges. We have BBA in logistics, BCom in logistics, agri, storage and supply chain, which I really, really need help. Don't tell me go to Kurkure and go to Britannia. I need some contact there. And I will do. I will talk about the apprenticeship engagement. I am definitely going to, crack, and then of course it will come to the establishments, whoever, and then the HR consultants, which I'll reach out to. But I need some contact. We need to expand in those. Then EXIM, I think somebody mentioned me about we are into freight. So I think EXIM also will have. Then land transportation and maritime. Maritime, I'm unable to reach out to any establishments.
So this was something very essential.
Essential point, yeah.
So it costs about 800 rupees. So every individual who has been registered with a contract has to pay 800 rupees at the end of the year during the assessment. Now, one of the things that Ankur had mentioned is that many organizations, they're going to take apprentices, and let's say there are 100 apprentices. Now, suddenly, at the end of 1 year, if the organization has to pay 800 rupees per apprentice, so for 100 apprentices, that is 80,000 rupees, which is definitely a cost, and the organization is suddenly going to be like, no. So most of the organizations don't conduct the apprenticeship assessment. The students also leave. What we do at Prolific HR is that right from the beginning, we inform the apprentice that whether you like it or not, at the end of the year, you are going to have an assessment for which you will have to pay 800 rupees, and that is permitted by the Logistics Skill Council, that the apprentice can himself or herself pay that 800 rupees, and the organization can collect that amount for registration of those apprentices. Now, of course, that being said, if the organization would like to be magnanimous enough and pay for that assessment, that is also open. But yes, the apprentice should ideally be informed that they are going to have an assessment, and the cost of that assessment is 800 rupees, and I can assure you, you will at least be paying a minimum of 9,000, 8,000 or 7,000 rupees. So an apprentice shouldn't complain about that, and if they have financial issues, you might just tell them that they might start saving 75 rupees from day one so that they can, bear the assessment fee. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you so much, Andy. Answering to Amar about why the industry is not engaging, why there is a disconnect. We have a full-fledged COLT, Center of Logistics Training for Excellence. We provide blue collar and of course NSQF 4 and 5 level training, absolutely free. Okay. Absolutely free. It's a CSR project. It is 3 months training. We provide stay and food. So you must know, if we provide absolutely free training, stay and food, we provide placement. I'm a trainer by passion. So even though I head apprenticeship division, I go and give them training. So I tell them the basics of how good and what value addition these job roles you will be giving to the industry. I break it down to that core. They are sent for OJT. They know warehouse. We have a modular warehouse which is given. I show them the videos. In fact, all the other we have 4 trainers. I am one of the just guest lecturer and trainer. So we give them all scenarios. And come on, how many warehouses are very like a dungeon where there are no lights and no ventilation? People have changed.
Yeah.
We have a better warehouse, better condition nowadays. Not in what 2001, which I worked under, They have been like 18, 19 to 20, or the age group is that. So please tell me, even if there is a gap of awareness first among the candidates and the industry. There is a big gap between the graduates who are actually looking for a job, and here we are not unable to find apprentice. And here we give free training. There is a stay and very healthy condition of stay. Nobody can say the stay and food is not good. 3 meals. We give them OJT. We have a very good bus which carries them. Not that you come to one spot A and then I'll pick you up. Or no, we have a bus starting from our institute. So there are a lot of gaps like this. 3 months. And so we have placed among those candidates for Amazon Dubai. So candidates who were aspiring, who wanted to do, there were girls who went to Dubai. Like, you understand, they look at the monetary benefits and how to upgrade themselves, how the quality of standard of life you want to upgrade. So this is something which is each individual's choice. But how best are we breaking it down? Because first 1 week, what we do when we bring them, to make sure that we brainwash them the quality and goodness and what you achieve out of it at the end of the 3 months. If they stay that 1 week, okay, so we have actually crossed one hurdle, because they are unaware. They are just brought in by somebody. Okay, there is a training, you just go and they'll give you stay and food. But 1 week we actually give them that kind of encourage and build their confidence, tell them. So this is Colt we have in 4 different places, which is a regular everyday job to keep telling them apprenticeship training is this, how best you can actually make good out of it.